climate change is happening. There's enough information from temperature data that's over 100 years old. It's not that climate doesn't change. Of course, climate changes. But it's usually over tens of thousands or 100,000 years. What we're seeing right now is climate changing faster than we've ever seen it before. And we have tons of historical data about that. So the big thing that seems to be going on right now is storing carbon. If we can get carbon stored or sequestered, then we can reduce the amount of carbon in the atmosphere, which is what contributes to the atmospheric warming. So what do beaver do? Well, a lot of people say we can affect climate change if we just plant trees, which is true. You can plant trees and you can get enough of them to grow where you're going to impact the amount of carbon stored. But what do you do when there's a drought? What do you do when the climate is changing so fast that the aspen trees are just dying off because there's not enough snowpack for them to survive? Well, you have to have water. You can't grow a tree or a plant without water. You can't store carbon without water. Here you've got the perfect mix. The beaver take the shrubs, chew them down, put them into the pond where, by the way, they're stored. They don't decompose and form more CO2. They're stored as carbon. So they're taking carbon off the landscape and storing it in the water to build a structure. And they're bringing water into the water table. You can see this area here is completely soft mud. I mean, if it weren't frozen, it'd be soft mud. That means it's wet. That means these willows are going to grow. It's a great opportunity to store carbon in the water, which is great for water treatment. And you get water provided so you can get more plant growth and store the carbon in the trees. Now, I'm going to say one other thing going back to fire suppression and climate change. And if anything, the fires in Arizona and California and Alaska have shown us is that as the earth warms, these wildfires are going to become more intense because they're in climates that are hotter earlier. When a brush fire moves through a system like this and it hits a very wide wetted riparian zone, it basically comes to a dead stop. You can't put enough fire suppression on a fire to have the same effect that this wetted stream and wide riparian zone is going to happen. There's places in northern Idaho you can go and fly over on the middle fork of the Salmon, and you can see where a fire has come up to a beaver habitated stream and just comes to a screeching halt. So that's another. It's tied to fire suppression, but it's also tied to climate change. You need these barriers in the system to try to prevent these fires from getting out of control, and this is a perfect way to do it.